Norbs couldn't believe his eyes when he first laid them on Kyle Gjonaj at that Detroit event back in 2012. An unassuming white kid in a plain t-shirt, Gjonaj didn't look like a rapper, let alone a potential star. But the moment he unleashed his barrage of brash, intricately worded bars, Norbs was transfixed. The Albanian kid's wordplay, delivery, composure, it was all on another level. At this point in history, Norbs had never seen an unsigned battler with such complete mastery of the craft. Gjonaj was a lyrical savant plucked out of Bar Wars Battle League, a small, relatively unknown league in Detroit, and was an old school friend of the league's founder, Sean Morrison. He didn't fit the mold or look the part, but none of that mattered when the round started and the punches started flying. The crowd and the cameras were just as captivated as Norbs. As the host and talent scout for the Ultimate Rap League, Norbs had an eye for raw potential and Gjonaj was dripping with it. This kid was destined for the big stage. After the event, an excited Norbs raced to tell URL boss Smack White and Beasley about his new discovery. "I got this kid, Gjonaj," Norbs gushed. "Trust me, he's out of here. He's gonna be a star." But Smack and Beasley just nodded with doubt in their eyes. They were used to Norbs' enthusiastic oversells of new talent. They knew he had an arrogant streak when it came to scouting. Still, Norbs persisted, certain that Gjonaj was the real deal. He set up a PG, URL's Proving Grounds platform for up-and-comers, fully expecting Gjonaj to body his opponent gutter, and that's exactly what happened. When the battle finally dropped, it sent shockwaves through the community. Fans and battlers alike were buzzing about this mysterious new force that had Jazz making the Jazz face. Who the hell is this guy? The battle rap culture wondered after witnessing Gjonaj's performance versus Gutter. Established names were shook. Norbs had found a unicorn, and he was at the Ultimate Rap League. Recognizing he had a special talent on his hands, Norbs started showing the PG to his industry connects, including people like Royce the 5'9", Joe Bud, and NFL lineman Damian Snacks Harrison were all paying attention now. Norbs wanted everyone to know that Gjonaj was next up, and as Gjonaj's stock skyrocketed, Norbs entered into contract negotiations with the rising star on URL's behalf. But that's when the trouble started. Gjonaj, savvy to his exploding popularity and earning potential, wanted certain provisions in his URL deal. Incremental pay bumps tied to his viewership numbers, additional signing bonuses. For a kid plucked straight from the streets of Detroit to the edge of URL stardom, Gjonaj was surprisingly shrewd about the business side of battle rap. He knew his worth. But Chico, URL's no-nonsense partner and website administrator, refused to budge from the standard rookie deal. $500 a battle to start, no escalators, no bonuses. He couldn't understand why this unproven commodity had the guts to demand concessions from the URL/this should consider himself lucky. Chico shot down Gjonaj's requests at every turn, growing more resentful each time Norbs advocated on the battler's behalf. Norbs grew frustrated. "Why you riding so hard for this kid?" Chico yelled at Norbs. "I'm not gonna let some nobody off the street dictate terms to URL." Norbs was incensed by Chico's stubbornness. Couldn't he see that Gjonaj was a generational prospect worth bending the rules for? While Chico slow played the paperwork and nickel and dimed the negotiations, Norbs warned that Gjonaj might take his talent elsewhere. He could already picture rival leagues lining up to give a battle to URL's new Albanian assassin. Weeks turned to months with no progress. Gjonaj grew increasingly frustrated, feeling like URL was jerking him around. Gjonaj's faith in the URL was wearing thin, and Norbs sensed it. Meanwhile, tensions between Norbs and Chico boiled over into shouting matches and threats of violence. Then the bomb dropped. Norbs woke up one morning to a text from Chico with a screenshot attached. It was a flyer promoting a battle on URL's biggest rival platform, King of the Dot. The matchup, Gjonaj versus Disaster. Norbs' heart sank as he processed the news. His prized prospect had signed with the enemy right under his nose. While URL was fumbling the contract, KOTD swooped in with an aggressive offer. They recognized Gjonaj's star potential just like Norbs had and pounced at the opportunity to steal him. Jonah, feeling disrespected by URL's lowball tactics, revenge signed with KOTD without giving Norbs so much as a heads up. Chico immediately launched into a barrage of "I told you so." "I knew he would f us over first chance he got. This is your fault for gassing him up," Chico yelled at Norbs over the phone. "You vouched for this shady dude, and now we're out our investment." Norbs was devastated, but he was also furious with Chico for bungling the negotiations. All Jonah wanted was to be treated like the star they both knew he could be. A few reasonable concessions would have been a small price to pay to retain a generational talent. Now, because of Chico's myopic stance, KOTD would reap all the benefits of Gjonaj's inevitable rise. For Norbs, it felt like a death blow. He had put his credibility on the line, hyping Jonah to the masses, only to watch him defect to the competition. It was a professional gut punch that shook Norbs' standing at URL. Smack and Beasley openly questioned his judgment now, wondering if his scouting genius was fraudulent all along. But as much as the debacle stung Norbs' pride, he was even more devastated for the kid Jonah himself. Norbs knew a KOTD battle with Disaster, the snarling, hyper-aggressive Cali legend, was a bad matchup, especially for someone as green as Jonah. Against Norbs' advice, Jonah forged ahead with the battle, determined to make a statement in his big league debut. It backfired terribly. Thrust onto an unfamiliar stage 2,000 miles from home, Jonah looked like a deer in headlights under the big lights against a veteran killer like Diz. Used to the small room settings of the Detroit circuit, Jonah was swallowed up whole by the moment. While Disaster's outsized theatrics made him look small, the skill and lyricism that had dazzled during his PG suddenly seemed labored and insignificant. Jonah's inexperience was ruthlessly exposed for the world to see. Watching the battle back, Norbs could hardly recognize the same brilliant prospect he had discovered. The Albanian Anomaly who leveled rooms with bars and punches was reduced to a shook, stuttering kid getting humiliated by Disaster. He wanted to reach through the screen, stop the battle, and protect his protege from this self-inflicted humiliation, but it was too late. The damage was done. "Told you that he was overrated," Chico said as the negative critiques of Jonah poured in. "You gassed him up like some kind of Eminem, but he folded first chance he got on a real stage. We dodged a bullet, not signing him." Reeling from the Disastrous showing, a demoralized Jonah fell into a deep depression. He went radio silent, ignoring concerned texts and voicemails from Norbs and his friends. The kid who just weeks ago seemed destined to take over the battle world now wanted nothing to do with the scene that had chewed him up and spit him out. Norbs watched helplessly as his star prospect drifted further into isolation. He couldn't shake his guilt over the whole fiasco. Maybe if he had fought harder to get Chico on board, been more persuasive with Smack and Beasley, locked up that contract quicker, things would have turned out differently. Norbs hated to see such a promising career get derailed before it even started. As the months passed with no word from Jonah, dark rumors began to swirl. Some said the battler had slipped into drug addiction, unable to cope with his fall from grace. Others whispered that he had returned to Albania, the war-torn country he had fled as a child refugee. The most ominous speculation was that Jonah had taken his own life, crushed by the weight of his squandered potential. After a year of ghosting the battle scene, Jonah finally resurfaced, emerging from his self-imposed exile a changed man. Newly married and embracing fatherhood, he had relocated to the DMV, settling into a workaday 9 to 5 to support his young family. For the lyricist who once seemed destined to be a household name, it was a humble, almost tragic reappearance. When Norbs spotted the Albanian Anomaly's profile in a Facebook group for DMV battle rap fans, he could hardly believe it was the same person. Gone was the once ferocious battler with the razor-sharp barbs. In his place was a mournful figure changed by his brush with Disaster, scrapping for small change on an obscure local circuit. It pained Norbs to see how far the mighty had fallen. Part of Norbs wanted to reach out, attempt to coax Jonah back into the limelight he once seemed destined to seize. With smarter preparations this time, Norbs was convinced his old prospect could still be the star Norbs always envisioned. But another part of him wondered if that fire still burned in Jonah, if he even wanted another shot at success after getting his fingers burned so badly. Some scars linger forever. In the end, Norbs decided to leave well enough alone. Jonah had earned his peace and privacy. After unwittingly pushing the kid into the lion's den prematurely the first time around, the least Norbs could do was respect Jonah's wishes to move on. His once-in-a-generation talent was now merely a cautionary tale, a legendary what-if story, to be rehashed on battle rap message boards and debated by fans who never saw the Albanian Anomaly in his prime. The game had a way of devouring those who didn't fit neatly into its well-trodden narrative. And for all his untapped potential, Gjonaj would go down as another misfit maverick who blazed bright then faded to black before the world understood what it had. Some stars are never meant to fully cross over into the constellation of greatness. Norbs couldn't help but feel profound sadness at the waste of it all. He had held Gjonaj's incredible gift in his hands, felt the electricity of it coursing through URL crowds, and for a moment he dared to imagine that this beast from the Balkans with the unpronounceable name might just rewrite the rules of the sport. During these days, long before the URL app, Norbs envisioned a world where Gjonaj wasn't just the next great battler, but an emissary for the art form, the one to help carry it over the threshold into the mainstream consciousness. But battle rap leagues can be unforgiving of even minor missteps. All the star-making machinery that had roared to life with Gjonaj's emergence fell dormant for him again just as quickly. At the URL, they had already moved on. Only Norbs carried with him the burden of knowing how brightly Gjonaj could have shined under different circumstances. The story of the Albanian Anomaly is over, but Norbs would forever wonder about what might have been. One of his biggest scouting finds and also one of his deepest regrets.
Gjonaj, the boy knew his worth. He wasn't about to let the lead go and treat him like dirt. Frustration growing, tried to reach for the crown. Ran to disaster and got sat down. When he beat real sick, could he beat Mike P? When he struggled against work, or would he go 0-3? Like Gjonaj, Albanian Anomaly. North like the style, but Chico not signing me. They wanted me to bow. I said I refused and went to battle for a canopy that just to go lose. Gjonaj, Albanian Anomaly.
Hey, it's the Algorithm Institute where the stories are told. From the battle rap culture speaking facts that we know. It's the Algorithm Institute. Go like and subscribe if you digging the content that we provide. If you listen to us, you ain't hearing no lies. We better than the mother bloggers all combined. It's the Algorithm Institute of battle rap.
Tap in and subscribe so we can keep cooking.
It's the Algorithm Institute of battle rap.
Each subscription is a vote for more quality content, more epic stories, and a stronger community.